All right, good evening, everyone. We could call to order this Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Monday, April 6th, 2026. Do we need to vote on the roll call? Mark ourselves present on the roll call. Still new to everybody, so. Mr. McKee is traveling, yes. So just before we get going, I do have one card. If anyone's here to speak on any particular topic, staff does have cards. And we do have a general comments during the comments from citizens, but there's also a public hearing tonight. So if you're here to speak on that particular public hearing, please wait until that time for that public hearing. If everyone will please stand for the opening prayer by Alderman Biggs, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Watch over and protect our town employees and our town staff, and especially our first responders. Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Mr. Crater, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 3rd, 2026 meeting? Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Biggs. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, please vote on your screen. That item passes. Mrs. Reader, is that what you want me to say every time? Okay. Okay. All right. Next up, grievances and comments from citizens. This is where we give you a chance to come up and speak on any particular topic, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not. We will allow up to 3 minutes for you to speak. If it's covered under the meeting tonight, we'll try to address it then, but it's not necessarily a Q&A. So staff will take your name and information and any questions or any information that needs to get back with you and get back with you at that time. Right now I have one card and I have a Bob Green. Yes, sir. Could you state your name, address for the record, please?
My heart is here. I am the only candidate for Shelby County Clerk, not even work to get the current administration elected. Has not worked for the current administration, or doesn't currently work for the current administration. We all know what the problems are with the county clerk's office. And if I have the good fortune to be elected, we're going to address technology within the first month. People don't realize that they're running on Windows 7 in those offices. Windows 7, that's outdated. You can't update it at all. I will make sure that we are working with Nashville to get everything up to the same standard that they have. And I'm not going to do that in 4 years so I have something to run on. That is, like I said, first month. Nobody should have to take vacation days to go get their tags. Nobody in this time when our cars are the most expensive they've ever been should have to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months, keep going back to a dealership to get their drive out tags renewed over and over again, still hoping to get their permanent tags. I will be the most transparent county clerk we've ever had. We will have a full audit done to find out what problems there have been. Now, what I will do for Arlington is Arlington and Lakeland should have their own branch. That will be a top priority within my first 4 years. I have appreciated your time and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Is it, and just for clarity, is it Crane?
It is
CR
No, sir. Bob Green
Green.
for county clerk.
Your G looks like a C. I just wanted to make sure it was
I
pronounced right.
apologize.
Okay. All right, thank you. Were there any others that I missed? Okay, moving on to communications. Sheriff's Department report is on file. Fire Department, since we were here it's on file. We were here for the budget meeting, so we're gonna move on to Mrs. Howell, from update from the chamber.
Wednesday is the chamber luncheon, and probably you're all signed up because we have 175 signed up for Wednesday's luncheon. So Superintendent Allison Clark is our speaker, and if you haven't signed up, go do that tonight or in the morning. So we've got you in the count for the food. So appreciate it very much. And we're getting close. Music of the Squares coming up in May. So I hope y'all are getting excited about that.
And you have Taste of Arlington going on right now?
Taste of Arlington is going on. It's kind of the quiet phase right now. Collect your receipts. Turn-in date is on April 23rd. And then we give out lots of cash prizes, which are really a collection of gift cards from our retailers. So spread the word about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Howell. And I know the board knows, but again, Ms. Howell, we're very sorry about your father, and thank you for, I know sometimes you just have to stay busy in these times, and thank you for being here tonight. Yes, I'm about to get to that next. I had her shoved in between there. So there you go. Committee appointments. I do have one appointment. The Industrial Development Board has a vacancy that came up a couple months ago. I think staff know, we kind of vetted it, and we are going to appoint Brian Thompson to that Industrial Development Board. We have quite a few things going on. He has experience on it, and he'll be an asset to it. So unless there's any discussion or objection, okay. Let's see, Mrs. Howell made some of the announcements I was going to do, but I do want to thank again. We did have the budget hearing earlier, or a second budget reading, budget session. And so we are excited to be at this stage in the budget at this time of the year, because it's always the toughest thing that we do as a board. So we appreciate staff and all the work they've done. And that's really all the announcements I have right now. Did Mr. McKee?
Yeah, go ahead and get it out there. The date for the fireworks is
to.
going to be June the 26th, Friday night. And I've been working with Miranda, and she just takes it and goes, and everything's going smooth as of right now.
Quick question, not to put you on the spot. Do we have any updates on the Veterans Home?
It won't be before June 1.
Okay.
It looks like they're shooting for June 1 for ribbon cutting, and that, it depends with the state also when we have the ribbon cutting after they turn it over to the board, then we have to get the equipment on the inside. So I talked with Hugh last week, and he just said it won't be before June 1.
All right. Thank you for that update. Any other announcements before we move on? All right, so we are on the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda, unless somebody's wanting to remove something. Oh, committee reports. Any committee reports? Seeing none. All right. On to consent agenda. Sorry, she's trying to keep me in line with what the way the computer reads. Anybody want to pull anything off the consent agenda before we get a motion to approve it? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. Biggs. Now we're going to vote. That item passes. All right, on to old business. Second and final reading of ordinance 2026-03 to further amend the Town of Arlington, Tennessee budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is a second and final reading of the second set of budget amendments for this fiscal year. There's been no changes between first and second reading, and staff recommends approval.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Barker. We do have a public hearing, so I'd have a motion to suspend the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, open the public hearing. I had a motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. We are now on the public hearing. This is the public hearing for the second and final reading of ordinance 2026-03 to further amend the Town of Arlington, Tennessee budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. This public hearing was published in the Daily News on March 6, 2026. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this request, please come forward and be recognized. Is anyone here to speak on this particular topic? Seeing none, would have a motion to close the public hearing, resume the meeting. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. Any objection? We're back on the main motion. Any discussion on the second reading? Okay, seeing no discussion, let's vote. Pardon me? Okay. Waiting for one more. There we go. All right, that's good. That's all right. That item passes. Any other old business, Mrs. Owens? Okay, on to new business. Item A, first reading of ordinance 2026-04 to amend the Town of Arlington or the Arlington zoning ordinance, Chapter 4 zoning districts, bulk regulations and uses. All the language in there for special conditions for liquor stores. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Crater and get a better explanation of what's going on.
Hi, good evening. So the Board made alderman just updated ordinances regarding beer and liquor in March. This ordinance update will update the zoning ordinance regarding liquor stores in response to those amendments. And this is a first reading. A second reading with a public hearing will be required. Give a little background on it. Currently, liquor stores are conditionally allowed in B2, B3, and SC zones. No specific provisions for their conditional approval were previously written. The BMA's updated liquor language removed liquor stores from B3 in municipal code and permitted two in town. So table 4.8 uses, the change was made to that table, just basically removing the conditional use from B3 and leaving conditional use for liquor stores only in the B2 and SC zones. So the specific provisions for conditional use uses. So conditions for liquor stores, as we said earlier, none were previously written. And with previous population limits, this wasn't a problem. The proposal will set a list of provisions for the BZA to follow when considering a liquor store application similar to other conditionally allowed uses. So proposed special conditions include, the first is proposal shall be compatible with surrounding areas, thus reducing impacts. The second is it shall meet separation requirements as set forth in Arlington Municipal Code Title 8. The third is shall meet state requirements to be located on the ground floor and have one main entrance facing a public street. 4, shall meet town requirements to be in a single tenant building. 5, liquor stores must include a minimum accessible square footage of 2,500 square feet. 6, no drive-through or pickup windows are permitted. 7, must provide a minimum of 1 off-street loading area for deliveries. 8, exterior lighting shall be adequate to discourage loitering and ensure premium visibility for security. 9, colored interior accent lighting may not be visible from public right-of-way. 10, all signage must adhere to town ordinances, and interior illuminated and advertising signage may not be visible from the right-of-way. 11, get PC recommendation of a preliminary site plan before the BZA. So the Planning Commission considered this proposal, proposed amendment in April, and they did recommend approval with one proposed change. They recommended to revise language to require a minimum of 4,000 square feet, including indoor storage areas. Staff does recommend setting a minimum ratio of retail to storage or staff office break areas, such as 2/3 of the square footage of the building being retail or accessible space to ensure storage will be outside of the retail area. As a reference, examples of existing buildings are as follows. So Chase Bank is right at 3,500 square feet. The Vescovo's, the existing liquor store is 5,000 square feet. Dollar General is 8,500 square feet and Ace Hardware is 10,000 square feet. So as you guys discussed that square footage, that's just kind of some reference to, just kind of wrap your mind around what that looks like. So staff does recommend approval of the ordinance 2026-04 to amend the zoning ordinance, chapter 4, table 4.8 and section 4.9 regarding specific provisions for liquor stores. And a second reading with advertised public hearing will follow if approved at the first reading. And that concludes the report on this. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Crater. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Brooks. All right, so remember, this is the first reading of this. So next month or subsequent month, whatever, we will have a second reading with a public hearing. Staff did a great job at Planning Commission. Mr. Brooks and I were there. And just the discussion really only came up on the square footage. I think, we've kind of been going through this whole liquor store thing for 16, 17, 18 months. But this is one that with the conditional use, you can put conditions on something where we can on other types of businesses. So the only reason that the number was it wasn't a plan number thrown out there, it was just trying to picture what some of our buildings look like around town. And I'm glad thank you, Mr. Crater, for giving us examples because everybody guesses at what square feet they are and Google Earth isn't always right or the assessor site. So it allows us to kind of sit there and picture, like when you look at, little 2 bays or 3 bay buildings that we have. So what do we want this to look like on whatever type of property? Excuse me. So that's really where the discussion is. Of course, anything else is open for discussion, but just kind of wanted to give you the background, a little bit expand on what Mr. Crater said. Excuse me.
There you go. No, thank you. Thank you. I just want to see it for a minute.
And it's just because he was giving some examples of some other buildings around town, like a Taco Bell was what, 2,200 square feet?
Yeah, just over 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, just so we know, I did a little calculation, what I think it would be. You may help me on this, Jeremy, but 2,400 square foot I showed, considering, I think, $500 square foot, 1.2 million to build a building plus property and some other things. Improvements and all of that. 4,000 would be 2 million plus.
Mhm.
If I didn't want another liquor store, I'd say, let's go 10,000. Then you're probably not going to have one.
Yeah, so we kind of started at 5. The discussion was, roughly, look at Vescovo's right now, it's 5,000 square feet. That's a $2.5 million building at current construction costs. So,
Yeah, it's whatever the board wants to decide, but I don't want to limit it down to getting a big corporation. The only one can come in and put their name in the hat. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, so right now, the first reading recommendation right now is 4,000. If there's discussions that people want to still have with staff or this board, have it right now, and we can have it next month. They still want to have it with staff. They want to do some more research. But again, you're not trying to price or oversize the place. Because honestly, in my opinion, Arlington can't handle a 10,000 square foot one. And if somebody builds it and they have room and land to expand, they can expand at some point. This is just setting a minimum, saying, I know that one of the discussions of when we decided that it was going to be freestanding, somebody that was questioning about looking at retail space in strip malls, they were looking at 3 bays, which would be about 3,600 to 3,800 square feet. So that sounds kind of like an average space that kind of for that type stuff. I know there's bigger stores and there's different sizes, but it's just really, since we've kind of, what do we want? And is this going to give us the starting point, and anybody can go with it from there?
The only other question I got was maybe Gerald, because looking from going from, up to 4,000, do you have an issue with it at all legal?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, so-
excuse me.
Yeah, no, thank you. So that came up at the planning commission, and really to go bigger or smaller. And as the mayor mentioned, it's less about what's the cost and more about where your regulatory authority is. So most of the discussion at the PC level was health, safety, general welfare issues, where if you're stacking up boxes within the retail area and you have some emergent situation, you can't get people in and out. That's why you have, occupancy requirements or limitations for buildings. And so in that vein, it was 2,500, probably a little small. But if you go up too high, then those same concerns don't really apply. I wouldn't recommend going above the current store of 5,000.
Which is 5.
Correct. I'm unaware of any issues with getting in and out or storage or anything like that from that standpoint. One point of clarification though, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So the ordinance is 2,500. The recommendation from the PC is to go to 4,000.
Mhm.
Of course, y'all can adopt that recommendation or not, but what's before you on a first reading is the 2,500 square feet. And so you can either amend it tonight or amend it at second reading, whatever the case may be, or leave it at 2,500.
Yeah, you know, thank you. That did help, but if we just vote on this tonight, then we would be voting as is at 25, and then we can change it, amend it. That would give me a little more time to check in on it, if that's okay. It depends on you guys. Everybody's not here tonight either.
Are you
Big.
asking or is that what we're, I mean, is he are you asking for
I'm
that?
saying vote on it like the 2,500, this, the first reading and the next reading, with everybody have an opportunity to talk with Will or with staff, or, and then if it needs to be, the board feels it needs to be changed, then it can be changed the next meeting.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with that approach.
As long
I don't
as
have an objection to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's as long as it can be changed, whether it's, that's what I always say, the first reading is just the first reading. So, I have just everybody, please do your homework if that's where the way it remains right now. And so the discussion can not start from scratch again next month.
We don't want another 3-year thing, right?
So if we can, I mean, I have no problem with that. I just remember, this is one we spend a lot of time on, and the one that we do have some regulatory authority over, and all we're trying to do is make sure we get it right. So, any discussion on that or anything else right now? Okay, that looks like we're ready to vote on the first reading.
2,500, we vote.
At 2,500, but like we said, all it takes is an amendment next month. It could go to 500 or it can go to 5,000 next month, whatever. We don't have to have 2 readings to make the amendment. That's what we're saying.
It's what we usually do.
So everybody ready to vote? Let's vote. All right, that item passes. First reading. All right. We don't have any other new business, Mrs. Owens, correct? I think Vice Mayor McKee had something he wanted to bring up, and I'll just turn the floor over to him.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I talked with Kathy Durant, and I've talked with Gerald and Will, and actually some other the towns. Currently, the town of Arlington's time of meeting is 6:30 in the afternoon. Our school board meets at 5:30. Lakeland, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 2 meetings a month, and both of those are at 5:30, and the school board's around, I think, 5:30, 5:45. Town of Arlington actually meets later than anyone in Shelby County. And my proposal is going to be that we consider going to amend ours, the section 1-101 to meet, a little earlier. I say 5:30, and the reason I'm bringing this forward is not for me, because I can go from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It doesn't matter. But with our town staff, some of them don't live in this area. Some of them had to go home. They had to turn around and come back. Some of them had to stay 2.5 hours for a meeting. So if only I'm prepared to make that motion tonight after discussion. Because if someone cannot do it on the board, then I would never make that motion to change.
This is just really just an open discussion right now. So I mean, again, it wasn't an item. It is something that if somebody wanted to make a motion and bring it forward to vote, we can. But
I mean, for the reasons Harry said, I agree with him. And then also from a personal standpoint, I would rather have be at 5:30 selfishly.
well, we know you eat at 5 o'clock, so how you can pull that off?
Exactly. No, but yeah, I think like in the wintertime, I don't really notice in the summer, but in the wintertime, it's like we're getting up here and it's been dark for an hour and a half. So to me, I'd rather be at 5:30 as well.
Mrs. Owens or Mrs. Durant, does that change? I know we publish our times a year in advance, right?
You have that before you, you can just discuss it tonight, vote on it first reading next month, or you can vote first reading tonight. But that is what is being proposed right there.
Mayor, you're correct. We advertise at the beginning of the year for all the meetings. So we'd probably re-advertise that for meetings. If, assuming this passed, we'd re-advertise that meetings going forward from a certain date forward would be at 5:30.
And after we approve any ordinances, we do a publication notifying like of the change.
So coming from a background of school board where we had meetings at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that people were complaining about, I can understand trying to utilize staff as much while they're at work. I guess I want to ask staff. I know you're listening. I want to ask, I guess, staff, you and Mrs. Durant primarily. I mean, does this help or hurt staff? I mean, I agree with the reasons, and I'm always trying to get people out of here as fast as possible if we can, but what problems or pros or cons do you see?
So, instead of us having a couple of hours of lag time, we're preparing for tonight's meeting all day. So it's not like we need that extra, 2-hour window to be able to prepare to be here for you so that we're efficient in what we're doing. We're ready by the time we leave at 4, and then we're coming back to be here for a 6:30 meeting. Mr. Crater just asked the question, is this just the Board of Mayor and Alderman level, or would this apply to other boards and committees? He would really need to poll those other boards and committees and make sure he would still be able to have a quorum. But this is an amendment to the municipal code, which is primarily for the Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings. But it is helpful to staff.
Are those covered under the charter too, the commission meeting? Those are just basically at our discretion.
Bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
I think the intent would be if the board wants to see it at 5:30, that you try to take all meetings, to at 5:30. That's my thought from discussions I've had with Mr. Alderman McKee about this.
And I'm in agreement with it. I do know that they're volunteer boards, and sometimes, if they get off at 5, that could create some problems, but we can deal with those as they come. Well, my suggestion would be then, since it takes 2 readings, and to not delay it, at least maybe go ahead and get a motion on the floor tonight.
Yeah.
Get the first reading out of the way, and whether we have the second reading next month or not, if that's the case, at least have the discussion, because we know if we never get to a second reading, it fails.
That's right.
Or if we don't, so.
I do have one ready, but I just want to make sure that Larry and Mr. Barker and Oscar are okay with it too, because I don't want to make a motion if one of you guys are not. Okay, and the only other thing I'm going to say, I did talk to Will. He may not like what I'm fixing to say, but anyway, we do have a young community here. And I asked Will what he thought about it, and because he's in Lakeland, and he said, well, with a young community like we do have, and he has kids of that age, at least they would be home in time to get them to bed and eat and whatever. So there's mostly our people in town of Arlington your age, Will, so thank you. Or younger. Anyway, I do have a motion that I'd like to make an amendment to this ordinance from 6:30 to 5:30.
Well, I think we need to say, is that? Yeah, I think we need, I think we need to get it. So let me say it like this, then I'll
Go
ask
ahead.
for a motion. I need to get a motion on the floor for ordinance 2026-25, which is to amend section 1-101 of the Town of Arlington Municipal Code permitting to the meeting time for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. Any discussion on that? This would be the first reading. And you know how we go between first and second reading. I say it all the time. So, is there any discussion at this time on this?
30 is way better than 7 o'clock where it used to be. So
Okay.
Used to be 7:30.
7:30, yeah.
All right. Do you have us prepared to vote on the screen for this? Okay. Roll call vote. Okay, is there any other discussion or is everybody ready to vote? Okay, we're ready to vote. Go ahead.
Yes.
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 Yes. That item passes. All right. Do I have any other new business? Do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment? Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Biggs. Is that set up in here? Okay. Everybody vote. That item passes. Seeing no other announcements, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Harmon. Second by Mr. Barker. Everybody vote, even though I know how that vote's gonna go.
One of these days you're not.
Thank you all for being here.
We're going to stick around.
Appreciate it. Thank you.